I love how people make a living, and so many of my past guests have been really creative in the way they do it. Shane Yend makes money selling the usage rights to the Hollywood sign. Adam Lippin, well, he sells cuddles. Laura Klein has $1 million business selling battery-powered snot suckers. And today's guest? Well, he makes a living from showing people how to throw axes indoors. It's time to sharpen your axe and get stuck into episode 487 of the award-winning Small Business Big Marketing podcast.
Yeah, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
And welcome back to your weekly dose of marketing mediocrity. I'm your host, Timbo Reid. You, infinitely more importantly, you're a motivated business owner who is well and truly ready to crank out some great marketing to build that beautiful business of yours into the empire it absolutely deserves to be. And if that's not enough and you are itching to fast track your marketing, then why don't you and I get personal? I think that's a great idea with some one-on-one coaching that you can book over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com. Big episode today. We catch up with an ex-stand-up comedian, now turned Lumber Punks founder, Tyson McMillan. This week's Monster Prize Draw winner has discovered a new revenue stream thanks to a recent episode, and I'm going to let you in on next week's guest, who, with the help of her hubby, has built a multi-million-dollar empire in just 5 years. As per usual, team, there is marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling over here at Small Business Big Marketing's HQ. So let's get stuck right in. A big thank you to everyone who has bought a copy of my marketing book, The Boomerang Effect, this week. I put a little email out to the list suggesting it'd be a nice thing to buy for yourself for Christmas, or maybe some clients who you'd love to give some marketing love to. If you haven't got a copy, there's still time. Head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com and click on book. You'll have one in no time. And I'll even devalue it by signing it. Hey, and a very big thank you to long-time listener Keith Hutchings for bringing today's rather interesting business to my attention. Now, Tyson McMillan used to be a stand-up comedian until one day in 2015... Oh, this makes me laugh. He was throwing axes in his backyard with his mate Sam, as you do. Now, it was at that point that he looked at Sam lovingly in the eyes and said, "Hey, Sammy, we should do this for a living." Yes. And they did. And that's when Lumber Punks was born, which is an indoor axe throwing business. Now Lumber Punks has 3 venues across Australia, and the boys are having the time of their life. So what are you going to learn from a bloke who loves to throw axes? It's a fair question. Here's what you're going to learn. We talk about how to get a crazy idea to market, how to establish meaningful partnerships with local businesses, how one lucky PR opportunity launched their entire business, the 3 pillars of the Lumber Punks business that lead to its success, the importance of social currency, and plenty more. Now, with Tyson being an ex-stand-up comedian and me wishing I was one, I felt compelled to kick things off with a joke. Why did the man fail as a stand-up comedian but went on to become a prolific axe murderer?
I don't know why.
Because he was a total hack.
Oh, nice.
Oh, thank you very much, hey? Does not get any better than that. I'm really interested, Tyson, before we talk about Lumber Punks, and I want to get you to explain the business. As an ex-stand-up, have you found that has helped you in any part of running your own business?
Oh, definitely. Look, when you break it down, stand-up comedians, basically their job is to get a concept across to someone else's head and then twist it. That's basically how a joke works. As far as a business owner is concerned, like the concept that you're trying to get across to your guests is you want to come and try this even though you don't know that you want to. And so like, and as well as like being able to deal with guests, on a daily basis, especially, when I was doing stand-up, one of the things I used to love was like when the crowd would start to participate. In fact, I'd even engineer parts where I'd get audience feedback. And the joy of it was actually thinking fast on your feet and turning a situation that could be very volatile into something, organically interesting and funny and off the cuff. So especially when we're teaching people how to throw an axe, like being able to ad-lib and sort of keep people on track, but also like giving them a unique experience, that's where a lot of that comes from.
There'd be a real fine line between when you're teaching someone to throw an axe, maintaining a level of seriousness and adultness and actually injecting some humour. I want to find out how you do that, but help me here. Explain Lumber Punks. What is it?
Okay, well, look, what we are, we're an axe throwing business, and what we do is we provide like professional assistance and training to teach people how to throw an axe, which a lot of people don't realise that they can do. So, I mean, if you really break it down into the abstract, what we're actually doing is we're teaching people how awesome they actually are. Again, like people underestimate their own abilities. They talk themselves out of being able to succeed, and we sort of show them, look, anyone can do this. It's just more of a matter of the mind. So the way our business is set up, we have 5 sessions throughout the day, and people come in and we take them through a safety briefing, where everyone's all on the same board as far as knowing what's good and what's not good to do, and then we teach them different axes. So we start out with little tactical tomahawks, and then we move into a larger 16-inch camp axe, and then after they've mastered those two, then we teach them how to play, and then they start battling each other in their groups. So again, it's all about being social and interacting with other people. It's a very social activity, throwing axes, and we just try to facilitate it.
I love how you found the personal development angle to it. I mean, you've looked at it beyond just the rational, it's time to throw axes, and found the angle of, this is where people can find some confidence that they, that they can do stuff.
It took us a while to actually figure out what we're actually doing. Believe it or not, there's the physical aspect of it all. Yeah, no, as far as what were we actually providing guests, right. And apart from an awesome experience, the thing that we started seeing on a regular basis was people surprised about their own ability and talent. And look, a lot of people don't even realize they're an axe thrower until they start nailing axes into the wood, and then they're hooked, and then that's where in our business model, one of our key foundations was that we wanted to build the sport of axe throwing in Australia, and to facilitate that, we started our axe throwing league. So on a Monday night, we have teams of 3 battle other teams over 8 weeks, and again, it's the whole idea is engineered around the idea of people who enjoy it to get their teeth deeper into it, but more importantly, to meet other people that enjoy the same activity, create a network of people. And what we found was all these different people who were from all different walks of life, who would never socialize with each other, doctors and lawyers and carpenters and death metal guys and all these obscure sort of demographics, started hanging out with each other, and then now sort of do it outside of our own venue. So that was the real eye opener to what this sport can do.
Just explain it at a physical level, Tyson. Walk into a Lumber Punks venue. I guess it's a bit like a pistol range, is it? You've got lanes with targets at the end, and
yeah, we do the way we operate is slightly different to the rest of the world. Pretty much most venues around the world will have 2 lanes per caged area. So like if you and I were throwing, we'd be in the one sort of caged area. How we do it differently is each lane is self-contained. So there's no way that, my axes can navigate into your lane at all. So like that was a factor that we sort of cottoned onto at the start. Yeah, like we wanted people to focus on axe throwing, not the potential risks. So that's how we set up ours. But basically, you walk into our venue and you'll see like all these fenced lanes all running down one side of the room, or both sides of the room, and it's all like cricket nets, if you know what I mean. And people throwing in those lanes with wooden targets down the end.
What's the distance?
So each lane's just under 5 meters. So the physics of an axe throwing, depending on the axe, but usually it does one rotation, at that 4.5 meter point, or a little tiny axe will probably take about 7 meters to do, or maybe 6 meters to do 2 rotations. So again, depending on what you're throwing, you'll need a different distance, but that's the real key to all of it.
So Tyson, I'm always interested about the meeting because you've got a business partner in Sam. You blokes have come together, I'm guessing over a couple of frothies, and decided we need to start a business. We're not sure what it is. Had one of you been overseas and seen this, or was it an idea that just came to you as you were throwing axes in the backyard? I don't know. Where'd it come from?
Okay, so like Sam, my business partner, we both used to operate Hard Rock Cafe in Surfers Paradise for several years, and we both had a relationship together, but we both independently wanted to do our own thing, and we were looking in the cafe market at the time, and so we started talking, over several years of like, what do we want to do? How do we want to do it? And at the time, the market was just saturated. There was a new cafe popping up every 10 minutes. So like your spotlight in the market was very.
You wonder how they make a quid.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and unless you get your foothold in and have a really hot product, and you create like a community around that particular location, it's very hard to get a foothold in the industry, because you see so many of them folding. Like they're up for maybe a year and then they're out. So we started looking into all of it, and we had several concepts that we were looking at, and all of it, like there was just a couple of boxes that were never ticked, and as far as what we wanted to do. So anyway, we looked into different industries, and we went through about 4 or 5 different business models for different businesses, and but the common ground was every time we'd have what we call a business meeting, which was us in the backyard having a few tasties, as you might call it, throwing axes. So like I had a set of little tactical tomahawks.
Hang on, you were an axe thrower, right? So this is not new to you.
No, yeah. I'd been following the sport for a while. I'd seen a documentary on the Discovery Channel about a mob over in Canada, and that fascinated me. So I got a set of axes myself, and I was throwing in the backyard. And Sam had actually been living in Canada for a while, and he was familiar with the sport as well. So yeah, we'd just be throwing axes in the backyard and talking about like what we wanted to do, and then we both cottoned on to the fact, why don't we do this? Because at the time, like we didn't even know that there was an axe throwing company in Australia already operating down in Sydney. But yeah, like there was no one over here as far as we knew, and we knew it had legs because it'd been going for at least maybe 12 years over in the US, and growing substantially, and the longevity of those businesses were good. So it definitely wasn't sort of like a fad as far as we could see. So then it was like almost, I would say almost another 15 months, like just trying to piece all the pieces together before we could even start looking at a venue. And that's sort of, that's sort of where we started. And again, the hardest part was no one knew what to do with us. We didn't even know what to do with us. After figuring out all those things.
The 15 months, Tyson, of piecing things together, is that because you had another job and this was just a little kind of idea you had on the side? Or, you're really struggling to figure out how to get this to market?
Yeah, look, we were trying to figure it out as we went. And that period of time, like a lot of it was, we'd ask questions to different council departments, and then they'd bounce us to different people because, again, this was something that they weren't familiar with. A lot of the time we were trying to translate to those departments, this is actually what we want to do, and their preconceived ideas of what we were trying to set up, was sort of tainting their view of us. And so, the largest amount of time was just trying to find the right venue.
What was the criteria for a venue? I'm interested in your real estate strategy. You've already got, you got a venue on the Gold Coast, you got one in Brisbane, you got one in Perth. How important's the venue and what's your real estate strategy?
Yeah, look, it's vital as far as being in the right place, obviously the right size, especially for the dimensions of our setup. And also, like, where we go is highly dependent on the community around there and little infrastructures that are already there. Obviously, zoning's another part of it as well. But yeah, like what we like to do is we want to go into areas that are sort of semi-industrial, and areas that are sort of getting a little bit of a cultural hub around. So, for example, on the Gold Coast, where we're right behind a place called Miami Marketo, which some people might be familiar with, but which is sort of like a street food entertainment. There's a couple of bars. It's sort of like a very cool little hub of a place where people can go here on the coast. So that place was actually a flagship of that area in Miami. And when they went in, a couple other industries around them started, like microbreweries, all those sort of places started popping up. And so that's sort of where we want to be when we're going into places. In Brisbane, the West End was, like everyone's sort of northeast of the river in the valley. We wanted to be a bit more out of that sort of issues of like nightclubs and all that sort of stuff. We wanted to be in like little cultural hubs. So we're in the West End, where there's some really cool developments going on. There's heaps of really cool cafes, restaurants, microbreweries again. So that was the right place for us. And then Perth was a godsend. Like when we looked over in Perth for ages and finally found a place which was literally the last place on our list, and we actually didn't even realize we were looking at the place that we were looking at, because we had seen that there was a whiskey distillery in the East Perth, and we were waiting an hour before our last meeting. And we went to this whiskey distillery and then noticed the building next to it, and we've gone, that looks familiar. And it was actually the last one that we're supposed to look at. So, and it was right next to Whippersnapper Whiskey Distillery. And so we just went in, had a look at it, and it fit all of our criteria. There's a microbrewery at the back. And East Perth Council were, like highly activated in trying to get that area of Perth, activated with cultural stuff in there. So like it ticked every single box. And again, like it's almost like the stars have to align for the right place to sort of poke its head through the clouds. But
you mentioned breweries, you mentioned distilleries. I'm interested to know what role alcohol plays in axe throwing.
Look, it's actually another part of our marketing strategy is, again, like when we're going into these places, what we want to have is like a continuation of service. After they've seen us, then they've got other cool places to go and check out. So basically they can plan their night. So having those places there is a big tick as far as we're concerned. But it's a one-way street. We only want them to go afterwards. We don't want them intoxicated when they're throwing axes. Like
do you breathalyze sterilise?
Yeah, so like we have got breath testing there as well, but it's mainly driven by RSA. Like most of our staff have a hospitality background. They're all RSA trained. So anyone who's intoxicated or even we think are intoxicated, we'll test them, and we won't allow them to throw. Again, like when people are drunk throwing axes or even just intoxicated, their inhibitions go down. We want a little bit of a healthy taste of risk when they're throwing axes. We don't want them oblivious to, swinging an axe around. So again, that's why it's important that we provide like a safe and family friendly venue as well. Yeah, like we want to take this as a sport. So like adding booze to it really sort of diminishes the prowess of it, Sounds a bit silly, but yeah.
We're all looking for a healthy taste of risk. Now tell me, you got the first one off the ground down in surface, and I understand you had you lucked it out with the filming of Aquaman that kind of put you on the map.
Yeah, look, again, the stars lined up on that one. We had been setting up for a couple of months in the new venue. We had a start date, and we knew that Aquaman was, filming at the time of our opening. And we had a couple of people in the industry, and we knew Jason Momoa was an avid axe thrower. Like that's, one of his main attributes is that he just loves axe throwing. And so yeah, we tried to get word to him like several different ways, like through different avenues. And finally we got word to him that we're we're and we got word back that he would be stoked to come and throw some axes, but he just had no time. So we're sort of like a bit disappointed and going, well, hopefully we'll eventually get to see her. But a couple of I think about 2 weeks after we opened, we got his people came to us and said, look, Jason's coming back from Comic-Con for the I think it was the Avengers opening, and we want to do a surprise birthday party for his 38th birthday. Would you be interested? And we said absolutely. Like so we had a private birthday party for him and all the cast and crew of Aquaman, and honestly, like no one knew about us at the time. We'd been open for 2 weeks. After that, we had companies in LA going, oh, look, we heard that you hosted Jason Momoa's birthday party. Have you got any photos? Like everyone knew about it, so, which is great. I mean, and Jason was, when he was here on the coast, he was avidly going to all these little small places and going there, and he was just the nicest guy, like he just... That's
awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's really good. And were you able to work the PR off the back of that actively? Were you able to bring in the press, or you've been using that ever since?
Yeah, look, one of the conditions, obviously, of, holding his birthday there is that it was a press-free event. So there was no press there. We were able to take some pictures and photos and stuff for ourselves, and we've definitely put them out there as far as, images for our business. But yeah, like it, we still show pictures of Jason Momoa because it's an awesome story. We just,
it's a great story.
Yeah, honestly, we still pinch ourselves that it actually happened. And this is like almost 3 years ago now.
That's unreal. It sounds like it's been a pretty, I'm not going to say meteoric rise as you launch these 3 Lumber Punk venues, but has there been any doubts along the way, any nervous moments where you've looked Sam in the eye and gone, oh, geez, maybe we should be still back at the Hard Rock Cafe?
Oh, definitely not back at the Hard Rock Cafe, I can tell you now. But yeah, like there were times where we're like, have we done the right thing? Are we doing the right thing? And probably the best financial advice we ever got at the very start was we had a financial advisor who was just a mate. He said, look, like put in as much as you want to lose on it. Like don't go all in if you're shaky on it. Like feel comfortable in if it all goes, head over turkey, like that, you've lost an amount that you're comfortable with. And that was priceless for us because, in first iterations of what we were trying to do, we were trying to go too big, and we were sort of fogging up the concept with different aspects of the business. Like, we're looking at having a cafe inside and street food and all this sort of stuff. And again, like, the message that we kept coming back to was like, what are we trying to do? Like, are we doing an axe throwing venue, or are we doing like a food venue? And we didn't want to muddy the water with, a mixed message. So, we trimmed it right back. And that was, integral to our success. And that's the biggest bit of advice I can pass on is, like, you want to commit as much as you're comfortable with losing, because if it all goes heads up, that, you were comfortable with that at the start. A lot of businesses go right into too much debt, and then they're under this weight of debt for 3-5 years, like before they start seeing the head.
It takes all the joy out of running the business as well. I'm really interested in that staying focused aspect, Tyson. So have you just maintained clarity around axe throwing, and you're not offering food, you're not offering other things?
No, we don't want to look again, like, and that's another part of our location strategy as well, is like, if there's cafes and restaurants around there, we want to be a business that sort of tries to get, our clients to go to other places in that area as well and support those other businesses. So like, Sam says it the best. He goes like, we're good at axe throwing, we're not good at coffee. Like, adding that particular service into our business. First, it drains our attention, and B, it's taking away from other people. And I mean, as far as business owners, we want to support the community area that we're in, and get that flourishing as well, because it's always going to be a two-way street at that point. They're going to tell people to come see us, we're going to tell people to go see them.
Does that mean the revenue per site, Tyson, is capped because you've got a certain amount of lanes, you run 5 sessions a day, you're not selling anything else? So where's the upside in that? Well, the other streams that we have there obviously is merchandise as well. People, if they enjoyed it, they want a memento, usually a T-shirt or a key ring or something, to walk away with us, which is great because that gets our brand out there. But also, obviously you've got like snacks and chips there, but nothing that we prepare. It's just more, like, in fact, if people want to order Uber Eats, that's fine. Like, we're not trying to compete with, like other food venues out there. Like, we just want to do what we do well. Look, you're absolutely right. There is a cap to how much you can bring in. But again, like, if you break that down over like the longevity of a business, the word of mouth getting out there is just going to keep people coming in. So, yeah, definitely. But again, you budget to what is feasible, and that's sort of how you have to roll it. You have 3 pillars that underpin the Lumber Punks business: music, axes, people. Axes make sense. You seem to look after your people. You're strong on community. What role does music play? Oh, music's huge. That was one of the things that we learnt at Hard Rock Cafe is how unifying music is. And when we were there, so think of it this way. Okay, so when you go overseas, one of the things that you'll probably take with you is a phone or an iPod that's loaded with your music. The reason being is it's a familiar thing in an unfamiliar place. So music actually is something that you can bring with you, that sort of expresses you, comforts you. Like that's the power of music. So as far as music in our business, there's a couple of things that we do. So first of all, obviously, like, we're music fans of different bands and stuff, so we all have different music tastes, but we try to affiliate with local bands and stuff and try to get them in, and I mean, that's always good to have a thriving music industry in your area, to play live. And the other part of it that we do as far as music is, the music is actually up to the guest. Like, we have a democratic music system, so that means, if you come into our venue and you want to listen to AC/DC,
you can chuck AC/DC on. If you want to, listen to Vivaldi, that's fine. Like, chuck it on. Like, we don't really care because, again,
bit of Four Seasons as you're throwing the axes.
Well, look, some people, it's amazing what people actually pick. Like, we joke about like the Wiggles being put on, but some people have put the Wiggles on.
Bit of Big Red Bus.
But the whole point of that is that, first of all, like, you're tailoring an experience to an individual. Which is pretty powerful. If they can feel that, they're in control of their environment, then they feel they own the environment, which means they have an emotional attachment to that environment. And that's what we want as a business, is like where people feel that they have ownership of the space, and that makes it feel like theirs. It's the same sort of idea as a clubhouse. The clubhouse is technically your place. When we were looking into different businesses, one of the concepts that we were looking at was, having music tailored restaurant. Because again, like one of the downfalls that we saw at Hard Rock Cafe was, whenever you came in, people were listening to the music that Hard Rock had curated for them. And I even put it to, corporate, have people come in and they sign in on a kiosk, and then it tells the sound system, okay, this is Steve, he's in now, he loves the Foo Fighters, he loves this music. And so it would change the playlist depending on who was in the building. So, we wanted to implement, and they didn't want a bar of it. So we decided that was a key thing that we wanted to do, was make people feel like they own the place, and music's a great tool to do that.
Excuse the pun, that is music to my ears. And I'll tell you why. As someone who enjoys going and sitting in a cafe, having a coffee, going out to dinner, I stay at a lot of hotels, I cannot believe how many businesses get music wrong.
Yep.
And what they seem to do is it's just an afterthought. Someone's put on, a Spotify playlist that they think they want to listen to while they're working, giving no consideration to the customer. The amount of cafes I go in where they've just got commercial radio blaring and the ads.
Oh,
and,
terrible.
The DJs. Mate, I just don't get that. It's just, I'm a little bit sound sensitive, and I reckon there's a lot of people out there. It's a noisy world. It's just great that you kind of it's a fundamental pillar of the business.
If you also, sorry to interrupt, if you look at the market out there as far as like entertainment goes, like everyone's moving away from radio into like a Spotify or like a Pandora, where it's tailored music, and then same with the way that you take in media as well. Like the classic TV stations are struggling against like Netflix and Amazon and all these things, where you can actually choose what you want to choose, when you want to have it, and you're not you're not being dictated, this is when you'll watch this item, you know what I mean? So again, we should reflect
I'll
that.
control what I listen to when. That's the world we're living in these days. So I think it's a great insight. Tyson, how do you promote something people aren't looking for?
Yeah, true, absolutely. Look, we knew this was going to be an issue at the start, which was, people didn't even know axe throwing exists, let alone that they could do it in their town. So again, one of the most undervalued ways of getting into marketing, even now, is Instagram and Facebook. We figured out at the very start the most powerful thing that we could actually do is a concept called social currency. I don't know if you've heard of that before.
Explain it.
Okay, so social currency, basically broken down, is if I do a thing that I'm really proud of, I want to tell the world about it. Like, so I'll take a Instagram, Facebook, and go, look how awesome I am. The byproduct of that is, look how awesome I am doing this thing. And we knew that was going to be our key strategy as far as getting people to know who we are, what we do, and how awesome it is. Because if you think about it, like, it's a review in itself, and people are proud about it, and so they're going to fly our flag for us. So there's a couple of key things that we've done in there as far as, every time, people take photos, we've got branding in the background, all those sort of things. But that's the real driver as far as our social media is, like us having an Instagram and a Facebook is effective because it gets the word out there, and so we show, like we highlight over our 3 venues, these are the people that came in, here's some interesting stories that happened throughout the week. That's one aspect of it. But the real powerful thing is getting people who are in the venue to, film themselves, and they do it organically. Like they'll film themselves, they'll take photos, they'll post, they'll check in. All those things is really the key engine behind our marketing strategy. We just emulate that on our own platforms. But yeah, like that is, and look, anything that you can get social currency in is gold. Like, so skydiving is a key one of that. Like people want to have a video and they show the world, look how awesome I am. Same thing. What do
you say to business owners listening who don't have an axe throwing business, who don't have a skydiving business? So the social currency is harder for those customers to kind of get themselves involved with. What if I'm an accountant or, something less interesting? Hello to all you accountants.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it is a hard thing, but when we one of the big ticks that we were looking for when we were trying to go through businesses were, how do we get our customers to promote us? And Hard Rock does that, via, memorabilia and iconic, things in the background. So, again, that's why we didn't go into accountancy. Obviously, that's not our background as well. But, look, it would be hard. You'd have to think strategically.
You could have called yourself. Sorry, I have to pause and say, if you had have gone into accountancy, you could have called yourself Lumber Punks.
Lumber Punks, I love it.
Thank you very much.
Well, look, again,
end of the interview.
Again, the branding as far as it goes as well. Like if I was an accountant, I'd probably go down the track that a lot of accountants go, and I could be very much off the mark. But when you're looking for an accountant, you're looking for stability, people who are really good at what they do. So everyone falls into the same line as far as accountancy goes. If you want to be seen out there, like you have to come up with a different strategy, like a different branding. What differentiates you from other accountancy firms? And it could be attitude. Attitude is a big thing. Like that's, like if everyone's beige and you're painted red, like you're going to stick out amongst the crowd.
Yes. No, I love that. Very true. In a world of sameness, attitude, personality is a great way to differentiate yourself. You're clearly doing something right with your Facebook and your Instagram is great. I mean, it's engaging. You can't help but kind of have a look around and stay engaged. What else are you doing? Because you blokes, was it you or Sam who was asked to speak at the Facebook conference recently on the Gold Coast? What are you really, really nailing in order to get that invite?
Look, again, it's the same sort of stuff that we've been just talking about. It was Rory, who's our marketing manager. He was invited to talk at the Facebook event, and they'd seen that we'd been highly activated and large engagement, and all of those boxes were ticked as far as they were concerned. And so they invited Rory to come and speak at this event, and basically we just talked about like the things that we've just talked about, which is about the power of the social, and how also like Facebook and Instagram now are very undervalued as far as like a way of getting into people's faces. I can't express how important like being able to see your analytics of how effective your marketing has been, like where people are seeing you, what time they're seeing you, how long are they seeing you, all of those things like you just can't get from traditional media and marketing sources. Like a pamphlet drop isn't going to give you much feedback apart from, did this coupon come through our front door? Like having an ad on TV, unless you're able to track it somehow by having a special that is only being seen on TV, there's no way of seeing how effective it is. Whereas Facebook and Instagram, each word you put out there has got some sort of feedback that you can get from it, and you can start to really trim the fat off, your content and get your message clearer and really have a strategy about it. And that's the world that, we should be living in. And unfortunately, like it, like for those older media and marketing companies like television and and all of those other things are a hard thing to get information back to the client. And as a business owner, like, that stuff's invaluable. Yeah.
Just to finish on marketing, Tyson, is there anything else that we haven't covered that really works for you in raising awareness and getting people involved? Again, as far as marketing goes, we also, do collabs with other businesses. So, other companies will actually send clients our way, just via word of mouth. They didn't know that we existed. So getting friendly with your local companies around you is pretty important. Like, you want to create that network where it's like a two-way street of clients coming in and out. One of the things that we wanted to do with this business, and it's something that we took off, Hard Rock Cafe, was one of their focus was charity and doing something good with the power of your business. And so over the last 2.5 years, we've done several fundraising events that sort of, keep us on track of what we want to do with our business. We've raised, several $1,000s for the Breast Cancer Foundation. We had a charity event for a young kid, Max, who is wheelchair bound, and he needed a new wheelchair. So we had an event that raised money for that, and that was quite successful. And just recently, did you call it Max Throwing?
Max Throwing, yeah, Move for Max, it was called. Yeah, so Axes for Maxes, that's the things Axes that we had. But but the recent one that we just did was working with a company called Red 6, and Red 6 is an app for veterans, like servicemen, veterans. Mm-hmm. And basically it's like a check-in for them on a daily basis. We have, our operations manager is, a veteran of the Australian Army, for 29 years. We've got 4 other veterans, in our 3 venues. And basically what this app does is, it just gives them a chance to sort of tell the world how they feel for the day. So, green thumb, meaning I'm good, red thumb, bad, black, obviously not really good. And the app actually, then contacts 3 of their mates to just check in on them. And we thought that was a really handy thing to have out there, and we wanted to support it. So, so basically the way that we do charity events is the proceeds from that event, all of it goes to the charity that we're doing, and we just try to promote it. Also, the charity tries to promote it, and we try to get as many people in throwing axes for a good cause. So, nice. It's a great thing to be able to do. It's a luxury, being able to generate some revenue for other people. But we think it's very important that your company has a bit of social responsibility. You got to do good to do good. Yeah, man. Hey Tyson, great story, mate. Feels like a business even though you're 3 years old, in the making. I imagine if I was to come back to you in a couple of years' time, there'd be a whole lot of other venues out there. For all those who are keen to throw axes, lumberpunks.com is where you can check them out, or find them on Instagram or Facebook. And if you're on the Gold Coast or in Brisbane or in Perth, go and chuck a few axes and, get it out of your system, and know that you're a good person and that you can do good, and, it's a great thing. Tyson, thanks for sharing, mate. No worries. Thanks, Tim. Well, there you go, team. Lumber Punks Tyson McMillan. Interesting fellow. Here's what grabbed my attention from that chat with Tyson. Attention grabber number 1. I love the fact that Tyson is focusing on what they're good at. And as he so eloquently put it, we're good at throwing axes, not making coffee. Fair enough. Attention grabber number 2. I love Tyson's view on how music can positively impact a business, how it can help tailor an experience to the individual. Like I said when I was talking to Tyson, so many businesses don't use music effectively, and I reckon whether you're leaving money on the table by not, but at least you could have the opportunity of creating an even better customer experience. So ask yourself, how can you add music to your marketing arsenal? In fact, one thing I'd like to do in 2020 is to start a small business big marketing Spotify playlist. Interesting idea. Don't know what songs would be on it, but maybe you can email me and let me know. Tim@timreid.com.au.
What songs would you like to see on the Small Business Big Marketing Spotify playlist? And attention grabber number 3. I love Tyson's focus on building social currency amongst his tribe of loyal axe throwers, to the point that he even makes sure there's a Lumber Punks branding logo behind the photos people take and share on their social media channels. Social currency is a very important concept, and you can help your tribe grow it. Well, that's what grabbed my attention. Whatever grabbed yours, big or small, be sure to block out some time in your diary and implement it.
Come on down. It's Timbo's Monster Prize Draw.
It's time to reward another motivated listener for taking some serious marketing action. And today's winner is Linda Fairweather of the Happy Paws Club, which is a pet sitting business based in New South Wales, and I would check them out. She's got a pretty funky little website going on. happypawsclub.net is where you will find Linda. Now, Linda wrote me a great email. She said, "Hey, Timbo, I am the owner of Happy Paws Club, which is a professional pet care business. I'm almost into my 3rd year of doing this full time." Well done to you, Linda. "And I have 70 clients, which is over 95 pets that I look after on my own, as hiring is not a path I want to take right now." That's interesting. I get it. The people are difficult. I hear that all the time from business owners. But maybe don't close that off entirely, Linda, because you could scale that business. Have a listen to the interview I did with the E-Myth's Michael Gerber. It'll show you how to take that from a business of 1 to a company of 1,000. Linda goes on to say, "Having my own product to sell is something I've always wanted to do, and a couple of months back, I used a client's dog lead that I had never used before. I loved it so much and thought everyone with a bigger sized dog should have this lead. It's more important than people think, having the right equipment for their type of dog." Just going to pause there and say, Linda, that's great advice. I hope you're making content that puts that out there in the marketplace. I can imagine you having a YouTube channel which goes on to give advice to dog owners about leads, collars, bowls, I don't know, poo bags. It's disgusting. It's a thing, though. Got a dog, have a poo bag. Anyway, a great opportunity to create some helpful content, Linda, which I talk about in my book, The Boomerang Effect. She goes on to say, "I got excited and immediately started researching with little results on similar leads. So I've stepped out of my comfort zone, because that's where the magic happens, by being inspired from episode 467 with Mick Slattery from Surefire Boards, with his warning and wisdom of importing and his journey of finding the right supplier and making an amazing product." Yeah, he talked about going offshore and getting burnt and finally arriving at a good product, a good manufacturer of stand-up paddleboards. "I went ahead and started contacting suppliers from Alibaba, being super careful and starting off small, making sure I was documenting each conversation and agreement. I'm now the proud owner of my first 50 imported dog leads that have been individually hand-checked by me and are all hanging in my cupboard at home. I've already sold a few to existing customers and give some as gifts to get feedback. I'm now in the process of putting them on my website to sell and starting to implement branding and videos for launch. I'm so excited about this new little venture and extra area of potential income that I might be able to bring in if all goes to plan. Thank you, Timbo. Keep up the great work. Linda Fairweather, owner of the Happy Paws Club." Linda, that is just awesome. You have listened and you have implemented. And another idea that comes to me as you share yours is that why not have your own brand of things? Dog leads, bowls, collars, all that type of stuff. Something to give consideration to down the track. For emailing me, Linda, and implementing, here's what you've won. You've got a Lumber Punks voucher to go and throw some axes. That's cool. A 180 headlamp. That's worth $100. You can walk the dog at night with that. All the dogs at night with that. Boxing gloves from Fitness Enhancement. They're worth $40. You can defend yourself from annoying dog owners. You've got Lyre's range of non-alcoholic spirits. That's worth $500. Access to Jeff Anderson's video marketing course. That's going to be handy. $197. $100 tradie voucher. Buy some undies or boots or something like that. Promotion on this show and a back link in the show notes, which Google love. Well done to you, Linda. To everyone else, send me an email, tim@timreid, reid.com.au, or you can hit me up on Twitter and tell me one idea you have got from this show and that you've implemented, what impact it's had on your business. My Twitter handle is @TimboReid. Send me it in. If I read it out on air, you win. It's a reminder that you will find plenty more where this came from, plus my entire archive full of ideas to grow your business is over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com. If you're getting value from listening, and I'm sure you are, then don't keep it a secret. Let other business owners know about this podcast. What's it called? Exactly. Small Business Big Marketing Podcast. Next week, we catch up with Julie Mathers, who's built, with the help of hubby Tom, the world's largest 100% vegan store in just 5 years. This podcast was presented by me, Timbo Reid, produced by Matt Dwyer. Until next week, thanks so much for tuning in. Now get out there and take some action.